So for example, let's do a practice question here. If you have 0.501 gram sample of oil, that's the unknown sample I mentioned to you, okay? So this unknown sample, it contains nickel, but we don't know how much nickel was there. We dissolve them in concentrated acid and diluted to 250 milliliter following the lab procedure. And after that, excess DMG was added and the mass of the final precipitate was 0.7138 gram. Can you determine the weight percent of nickel in the original sample? Okay. Any idea? How should we start here? So we have a lot of quantity. We have several quantities here.
You need to convert it into moles. So get the molar weight because you're only looking for nickel, and the final product has nickel in it, but it also has other components. So you need to find the ratio between them.
That's right. That's very good. So we will start from the final weight, right? We know that this is the final precipitate and it is nickel DMG2. And from here, only part of it was contributed by nickel. So we have to calculate the ratio between nickel and the whole compound to calculate the actual mass of the nickel. So what should we use here? We have to use the formula weight of nickel DMG and the formula weight of nickel, right? So which one should go to the top? Which one should go to the denominator?
The nickel should be on top.
Right, okay. And this one, okay. So by doing this, what we get is the mass of nickel, right? And what we need is the weight percent of nickel in the original sample. How do we do that? So the weight.
You divide the result you get. So that goes in the numerator, and denominator is just the 0.501 times 100. So you get the weight percentage.
That's right. So basically, when we do the weight percentage, it's mass of nickel over the mass of the sample, right? In this, it's our ore sample. So what we do here is we divide it by 0.5010 gram. And for percentage, we multiply by 100%. Okay. All right, so can you do the calculation and tell me your result in the chat box? Pay attention to the sig fig as well. Okay, great. Thank you all for your participation. I think everybody agrees, right? It's 28.94%. Okay. So this should be straightforward. Now, but after solving this question, we have time, please think about if I change the question a little bit, right? So for example, if I tells you the weight percent of the sample, I tells you the final precipitate value, can you calculate the original mass of the sample, right? So something like that, to try to play around with the different numbers. And I'm glad that you all, none of you were confused by this value here. This 250 milliliter is useless in this problem, but don't be confused by it later, okay? All right, so let's think about this question in a different way, right?